Mercury retrograde starts tomorrow, and the energy around this Mercury retrograde is genuinely insane. We just had a solar eclipse and we're jumping right into a Mercury retrograde in the middle of the eclipse portal. Let's talk about it. First of all, if you don't know what a Mercury retrograde is, it is a pretty important transit in astrology. Not the most important, but it is very popular. So it has a little fear connotation to it, but it is absolutely nothing to be afraid of. During Mercury retrograde, things like miscommunication can happen, your past exes coming up, technology or travel plans not coming through how they were supposed to, things like that usually occur. So we've kind of been feeling this energy for a while now, and it's just now not hitting its peak, but it's just started because we were in the pre-show and now we're about to get into it, and there's a post-show as well. This Mercury retrograde is also in the sign of Taurus. This has to do with money, possessions, material things. Because this Mercury retrograde is in Taurus, it's not going to be the most uncomfortable Mercury retrograde. Taurus is very slow, very steady, kind of just evaluating things, but at the same time, Taurus, talking to you guys, are not the best when it comes to money. Taurus placements, they like to spend, retail therapy, things like this. And during this Mercury retrograde, we are reevaluating our budgets. We are not making big purchases at this time. We are saving our money. We are looking at our finances. We are not going to be going on spending sprees during this time. You're also reevaluating your past, looking at old habits that you might not want to carry on with you. This is the perfect time to cut those things short. So how should you prepare for this Mercury retrograde? This Mercury retrograde being in Taurus, Taurus is an earth sign. Do things that you're passionate about. Cooking, creativity, going for hikes, being in nature. If you use things like crystals or herbs, really indulging yourself in that. Mercury retrogrades have this big scary connotation where you're like, oh my God, a lot of things are happening, a miscommunication, arguments, but it doesn't have to be like that. Knowing now, ouch, I hurt my finger. Knowing now what you need to expect, what's going to happen. I do have a full breakdown on my YouTube channel, but knowing what's going to happen, you are in control of yourself. You are in control of your future. You have the ability to have any outcome that you want. Make the best of Mercury retrograde. Work on your communication skills. If there's something that you've been wanting to just not have to deal with anymore, don't deal with it anymore. Trust yourself, trust your guts. Just don't make any big purchases and you're going to be absolutely fine. If you are an Aries, Taurus, Gemini, or Cancer, this is how Mercury retrograde is going to affect you. It is that time of year again where exes come out of the woodworks and our phones die and travel plans don't go how they're supposed to. And it's occurring in Taurus, so this has to do with money and finances and budgeting. Aries, this is occurring in your second house. So money, money, money. This may have to do with work, possibly getting a promotion, possibly scaling back on the things that you're spending your money on. This has everything to do with your finances and financial institutions. Maybe you're playing money in the stock market or betting. This is definitely not the time where you want to take chances or make any big purchases or big decisions. Taurus, this is occurring in your first house, the house of the self. So this has everything to do with you. You guys are really feeling this deeply, especially because this is a Mercury retrograde in Taurus. This has everything to do with you, yourself, your self-image. This is not the time to make any big changes when it comes to your appearance. And my Tauruses are going through a lot right now. You guys are like, this is the last thing I want to happen to me. Like, I'm already exhausted. How much more exhausted can I be? Don't worry, this is a huge transformative period for you. You're going to get through this, and don't be surprised if an ex comes up. Gemini, this is occurring in your 12th house, and you are ruled by Mercury, so you do feel this quite strongly as well. There may be a lot of themes of miscommunication, your brain just being like, oh my God, what's going on? The best thing for you to do this time is to do things that make you feel relaxed. Stay at home, maybe take a trip, anything that relaxes you, to really indulge in that during this month. Also meditating or like cleaning up your space, just having a clean area. Cancer, this is occurring in your 11th house, which has a lot to do with friends, networks, associations. I feel like a lot of you guys are going to have some past friendships come up. This could also have to do with miscommunications within your current friendships or social media. A lot of you guys might feel like you need to take a social media break or step away from things just so that you can relax your mind. As Cancers, you guys get really overwhelmed, especially when it comes to things like over socialization. You guys like to be alone, and during this time there's just a lot of miscommunication and maybe a little bit of conflict, and you're kind of just like, ooh. So maybe taking a step back and like disconnecting, allowing yourself to do that. If you want to learn a lot more about Mercury retrograde, follow my YouTube channel. And if you guys have any questions, leave them down below. If you are a Leo, Virgo, Libra, or Scorpio, this is how Mercury retrograde is going to affect you. As always, this is super general, so if you want more in depth, go to my YouTube channel. But let's get into this. This is occurring in your 10th house, which has to do with career. I feel like a lot of the energy that we've had recently has been really beneficial for you career-wise. However, with Mercury retrograde, there is prone to be miscommunication with coworkers or with assignments, so you want to be really careful. If you're currently looking for a job, this is a really good time to revise or edit your resume. You're kind of just cleaning things up work-wise. Virgo, this is occurring in your 9th house and in your sister sign of Taurus, so you are feeling this energy, especially because you are ruled by Mercury. Mercury is your home. This has to do with travel plans, philosophy, education. So if you do have travel plans coming up, this could be a lot of miscommunication, things not going the way they were planned. And as Virgos, this kind of drives you nuts. You could also be reevaluating the way that you think about certain things and look at the world. Libra, this is occurring in your 11th house. This is a little bit challenging for you. It has to do with intimacy and resources. So during this time, there could be a lot of miscommunication in the form of like intimacy not working out the way that you assumed. If you have a partner, this could just be you guys sitting down and having conversations that are a little bit difficult. I feel like as long as you address these things with empathy, it should all go pretty smoothly. Scorpio, this is occurring in your 7th house. So exes, past relationships, current relationships, breakups are very prone to happen during this time. They might not necessarily, or just difficult conversations in general. I feel like a lot of you guys have things that you have not said to a certain person in your past that at this moment is like coming to the surface. You feel like you need to say this thing to this person. You're practically reevaluating romantic relationships as a whole. As always, if you have any questions, leave them down below. And Mercury retrograde is nothing to be afraid of. It has a little weird connotation to it, but as long as you relax and work on your communication skills, being a little bit more empathetic and thinking before you send that text, you're going to be fine. If you are a Sagittarius, Aquarius, Capricorn, or Pisces, this is how Mercury retrograde is going to affect you. It is that time again. Somebody in my comments said that Mercury always seems to be retrograding, and it low-key feels like it does, but it's not. And it's not even a big deal. People make it a big deal, but in reality, it's not, and it's a really transformative time. The only downside of this is you can't really make big purchases. Past ex come up, things like that, but it's just about reevaluating yourself, your life, and becoming more transformative. As always, this is a general reading, so if you're looking for something more in depth, follow my YouTube channel. Sagittarius, this is occurring in your 6th house. This has a lot to do with health and routine, so I would encourage you to just know that your routine may break down or fall apart at times. Things might not go the way that you want them to. Just be aware that that is prone to happening. You guys are really flexible when it comes to things like this, so I'm not really worried. Health-wise, you want to make sure that you're not only feeling good in your body, but mentally as well, making sure that you have your checkups all in order, or if you're looking for a new therapist, this is a great time to get one, or a spiritual guide. But yeah, I'm not really worried about you guys. Capricorn, this is occurring in your 5th house, which is really nice and abundant for you. This has a lot to do with doing things that feel good, going after a new hobby, or doing a project that you kind of left behind. This can also have to do with people from your past coming up. You may going and dating them again, or just having a coffee with them, something like that. It's also a time where pregnancies can come into play, so if you're not looking to get pregnant at this time, be aware. But if you are, this is a good time to try. Aquarius, this is happening in your 4th house, which has to do with home and family. If you're moving or thinking about moving, I would wait at least a month. Miscommunication with family members can also arise during that time, so just making sure that you're being empathetic and evaluating things that you're saying before saying them. Last but not least, Pisces, this is occurring in your 3rd house. Mercury is pretty comfortable here, but this has a lot to do with miscommunications in a whole. So just making sure that you are communicating the best way possible, being empathetic, and not like saying anything. It could just misinterpretation can happen, so you just kind of want to be aware of that. If someone gets offended by something, or if you get offended by somebody else, kind of just making sure that you're hearing them properly and understanding where they're coming from. Like always, if you have any questions, leave them down below.